All right, so we are live now. Hi, everyone, and welcome to a live stream Halloween special. Clearly, I mean, I'm the only one who dressed up. I don't even know why. So, thanks for chiming in. We have three very special guests here with us. We have Emma Schermer Tamir from Marketing by Emma. Woot woot. We have Meghla from Virtual India Sourcing Show. Woot woot. And we have our in-house specialist, Nithin, who will be here to give you some important tips for PPC and whatever you guys need, to be honest. So this is again a holiday special. We are going to be talking about how you can sell on this holiday season effectively and how you can make the most out of it. So Emma here will be talking about listing optimization, how you can update your listings. Meghla is here to talk about sourcing, very important to get ready for Q1, Q2. And Nithin here is going to be talking about PPC. All right, so let's get started. So I have some key points to talk about Halloween. So I asked one of our, people who work in the office, some data guy, and I was like, hey, can you please pull in some information and data points for me so we can talk about Halloween and how Halloween is going? So yeah, I have some data points here which I find very interesting. So to begin with, COVID has not stopped people from buying a lot of chocolate. So Halloween is already a clear winner. And then I have seen a lot of hike in costumes, and people are buying a lot of Halloween masks as well. So I wanted to dig in a little bit deeper. So I tried to find out which Halloween mask was selling a lot, and it's the plague mask, the ancient plague
Oh,
mask. That I was like, wow. So people want to be safe, and people want to be funky during this Halloween, which blew my mind away. So I'm glad that people are staying safe while they are going trick or treating. So, how does Halloween look like in Singapore, and how does Halloween look like in US? So, let's begin with Meghla. How is Halloween in Singapore?
well, I mean, Halloween is not a big festival over here as such.
Uh
So,
huh.
yeah, I mean, there are, kids going trick or treating here and there, but otherwise, it's not a very huge festival. But what I've seen in past years is that malls really take advantage of the Halloween season, and they sell a lot of products, and they, decorate the shops, and the restaurants have themes and everything. But I'm not seeing that much of it happening now this year. So then of course the malls and all are open here, and people are going out to the malls, and restaurants are open, and we're pretty much out of lockdown. But I'm not seeing that kind of Halloween environment that we usually see every year. So I think people are just being a bit cautious, and I think malls and restaurants are also not spending that much, I guess.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And to introduce Meghla a little bit more, she has over 20 years of experience in the industry of sourcing, and she does have a very cool podcast called Virtual India Sourcing. So wow, dyslexia has kicked in. So yes, I will link it in the description below, or you can look it up. It's very cool to look at. And she does a very good job hosting that podcast. So, yes, she has more experience than I have been on this earth. I keep bringing it up. So yes,
Thanks
that's
for
very
making me
cool.
feel old.
Well, with age comes wisdom. So you're fine,
And
dear.
wrinkles.
And well, I'm gray already. So like, does it really happen? All right. So moving over to Emma, how does Halloween look like in the States with the whole COVID situation going on?
I don't know if I'm just paying closer attention this year, but I feel like I've never seen so many Halloween and fall decorations as I've seen this year. And
Hmm.
I am thinking that there is probably an increase in decorating, and my guess is that it probably has something to do with the fact that people are bored and people are looking for something to have fun with and to get excited about. And fall is a very popular season here, so it makes sense that people would kind of throw themselves into that a bit more. So I feel like everywhere I turn, I see pumpkins, I see spider webs, I see gravestones, and something tells me that that will also quickly get replaced by maybe even early Christmas decorations and whatnot. I just, this is such a weird time in the world, and there's so much there's so much to be down about wherever you look that when there's an
Yep.
opportunity to find something happy, I think people are really gravitating towards that. And also, it's getting cold here, so we need some things that are fun and lighthearted.
Yes, so I have seen a lot of hike in the Halloween lights as well. People are buying a lot of lights. So it makes sense that they are trying to be happy. I mean, this is a depressing time that we're in. So, yes, I mean, I was just talking to John the other day, and I'm so sorry that he was not able to join us today for personal reasons. But I was talking to John, and he said that in his locality, people usually host parties, Halloween parties. So everyone goes down there and they have like a whole function, and kids have a lot of fun, and the adults are like, just having a lot of fun. There are games as well. My AirPods dropped. Apple, are you watching? You need to work on that. All right, so back to the live. So yes, there are a lot of things that were happening last year, which Halloween is this year is a little bit dry, I would say. So it still makes me happy that on Amazon, Halloween is still winning. So coming to you, Nithin, what according to you is going to happen on Amazon this Halloween? Like, are there any changes that you have seen personally?
I think it's already too late to kind of make any changes going forward because people usually plan out, especially when you're purchasing stuff from Amazon. You would have already purchased stuff. Like I think Emma was mentioning, she's already seen those decorative items and around the neighborhood, right? So I'm sure we've seen a lot of spike in certain categories like confectionaries as well, along with the masks, any which ways. So yeah, I think we've definitely seen a general trend where there has been a growth in terms of online e-commerce buying. I think there's certain reports that talk about how we've literally jumped 5 years ahead in time in terms of e-commerce penetration this year alone. So I think that definitely is the right direction for any e-commerce seller as well, because there's a lot more opportunity as well to kind of make money out of Amazon.
Yeah. So we have Cyber Monday coming in, we have Thanksgiving, and we have Black Friday, one right after the other. So Halloween is just the start. We have a lot more to witness on this amazing platform. So it's time to answer some questions. So I would like to first ask my questions to Emma. It says that my sales have been declining since the last 2 months. Is that due to bad listing optimization?
So you say declining, which makes me think that you were doing well and that something has since happened that's making your performance drop. So it's obviously it's hard to say without knowing more details what may be the cause. It could be everything from seasonality. So perhaps your product was more suited to the winter, and in the last 2 months, as people have geared back towards going to school and getting more in the holiday frame of mind, that could be at play. There could be an increase in competitors, and so needing to differentiate yourself. There could be some poor reviews that you need to figure out how to mitigate. So without having a little bit more information, it's hard to say for sure, but there is a likelihood that regardless of what's the cause, that there are some potential solutions that you may be able to find with a better optimized or re-optimized listing. So whether it's addressing some points that people have left negative reviews about to help clarify that and minimize future negative bad experiences, whether that's clarifying expectations or helping to understand something that isn't immediately apparent in just looking at the product, whether it's having more competitors and so needing to figure out how to better differentiate yourself and establish your superiority, or whether it's maybe figuring out another function of your product so that even though there is a seasonal component, is there a way that you can still make this appeal to people in those quieter months?
Yep, and I think it's also, listing optimization can get complicated as well. So it's very important for you to get it right on your first try. That's what I think. What do you think, Nitin?
It's an interesting thing that absolutely is quite critical. I think everybody is quite aware of the fact that listing plays a very big important role in Amazon because you have a lot of keywords that go into it, which will help you get those organic sales, right?
Yep.
Getting it right the first time definitely would be fantastic, but I think there is always these trends that keep changing over the year, in just a year, right? Like for example, earlier this year, people may not have probably searched for COVID related stuff, the masks,
Yep.
air purifiers, and hand sanitizers. So then the trend keeps changing, and then during this season, you have a lot of keywords related to Halloween and the Christmas and the Black Friday and Cyber Monday. So these are kind of keyword trends that you would like to incorporate time again during those seasons, right? So you would want to probably take those keywords and incorporate it somewhere in the listing, just to ensure that you can capitalize on organically improving your position during the season. So yes, definitely, it is ideal to have it right the first time, but then there should always be A/B testing done once in a while, probably once every 4 months, 6 months, every year, every 6 months. Yeah, I think that's the best way to go about optimizing the campaigns. Sorry,
Yep, I
listings.
completely agree. Yeah,
Yeah,
so listing optimize. Yes,
can
go
I
ahead, Emma.
chime in?
Yeah.
Well, I was just going to say, optimization, it kind of within that word, it's really saying that you are taking inputs and figuring out how to utilize those to continue to refine and reconfigure. So people are always going to be changing what they're searching for. The market is always going to be evolving. And so it's not this static thing that you do once and then it's going to function perfectly for the rest of eternity. There are going to be changes in the search terms. The customers' needs may shift or evolve. And so you want to be very aware of what's happening in your space and making sure that your listing is accommodating those changes. Also, we do offer free listing analysis. So if you want to send your listing in, our website is marketingbyemma.com, and we're happy to just take a look at it and give you some feedback about what may be going on.
Yeah, so Emma here is a marketing specialist, and she makes sure that your products go directly to the buy box. So yes, you should look her up if you want your listing to be optimized. So I think our next question is targeted towards Meghla. I'm interested in starting an Amazon business. Can you give me some tips in finding a good supplier?
Do you have an hour, 2 hours?
Oh yeah, this is like a whole course.
I
This is a
know,
masterclass.
yes. But the first thing you need to do is decide where you want to find, where you want to source your product from. And that really depends on what product you're sourcing. So, for some products, you have to go to China because they're not produced in other countries. For example, if you're doing an electronics products, you would definitely source that from China. But for some other products, India may be more competitive. For example, cotton-based items or wooden handicrafts or metal products. Nowadays, there are also a lot of footwear. Leather jackets are more competitive. So that's the first thing that you want to try to figure out. What is the product that you want to source and where do you want to source from? And then once you know that you want to source from China or India, then you go and start looking for suppliers. And there are various ways to look for suppliers. So you can first of all start on any of the supplier directories such as Alibaba and Global Sources. And in India, there's also the Delhi Fair, which is an exhibition, an export-focused exhibition that's held twice a year in Delhi. So you can look for their exhibitor list as well. In China, there's Canton Fair. It's being held virtually as well. So what you want to do is when you're looking for a supplier is for a couple of things. First of all, you want to make sure that it is a legitimate company because there are unfortunately bad guys out there who pose to be, real companies or manufacturers, but they're actually just scams or just, college kids sitting in their basements in pajamas. So definitely that's the first thing you want to do. You want to make sure that it is a legitimate company. Then you also want to make sure that they have export experience because if you're selling into the US or Europe or any of these overseas markets, they do have quality requirements and safety regulations. So you want to make sure that your product meets those requirements. And typically in Asia, if a supplier is catering to the domestic market, they may or may not be aware of the quality requirements for overseas markets. So you want to make sure that they are export focused. And thirdly, you also want to make sure that if you do want to source from a manufacturer, you want to make sure that they are indeed a manufacturer because sometimes, especially on Alibaba, you find a lot of trading companies, sourcing agents that pose as manufacturers, but they may not have their own factories. So yeah, you want to, check if they have their own factory as well. So those are the three things that you should check once you have found your supplier.
Yep, and also maintain a good relationship with your supplier. I think that's really essential because when you have to get the quality assurance and if you have any problem in your product, I think it does matter. Your relationship with your supplier does matter quite a lot. So have a good
Yeah.
relationship with your supplier.
Yeah, once
Yeah.
you found your ideal supplier, your dream supplier, started working with them, you definitely want to, respect them, have a good relationship, learn from their experience.
Yep. All right. So for our next question, it's targeted towards Nithin. So hi guys, I'm currently first of all, hi Redix Technics, fancy name. So hi guys, I currently own an FBA store and it's doing pretty decently. Good for you. But I'm planning to scale it. Wow, good for you. What are some of the best practices you would suggest to scale my Amazon stores? So Nithin, how does SellerApp do it?
That's a very interesting question. I think it's as big as the sourcing topic itself, right? Everybody's looking
Yeah.
at scaling the business on Amazon. That's the primary goal. But again, I think we have to break it down into different pieces, right? It's probably I don't get enough information on what at what point do people want to scale up. We have people scaling up at different stages. Initially, you might look at starting off with first sale. That would be my first goal, and then you would want to reach at maybe 10K per month, and then the next target would be 50K and 100K. So let's assuming that he's probably a small to medium seller. I think primary the most important thing on Amazon is patience. People, especially the newer sellers, they come into Amazon thinking you can make millions overnight. uh,
Oh, yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not easy, and it's idealistic to even think about it. It's not idealistic as well. It's just challenging. It's impossible. So what's important is we need to have multiple things planned out. There are so many things that go hand in hand, and at every given stage we need to keep two things primarily in mind. One is how easy is it for customers to find our product, which we call discoverability on our platform and SellerApp, and how easy is it for those customers to actually look at your product and buy that, which is the desirability. So I think at every stage you should always look at optimizing your listings. I think, like Emma mentioned, a listing is not there for eternity. Even if you get the perfect listing, it's not something that would work for you years together. You might have a lot of customer search terms that will change, and these are some things that you can probably get an idea indication through running PPC campaigns. So having those automatic campaigns, having those manual keywords, looking at analyzing the search terms that come out of it gives you a very good idea of how people search for those products. You could definitely see a change in shift. Like, for example, probably 4 months back, the way people look for confectionaries would be very different from how it has been over the last 1 week, 2 weeks, right? So that's something that definitely keeps changing. So you need to always be on top of the game, keep looking at those indicators of how what is changing in the market. And definitely, Amazon advertising is the way to go for increasing your revenue on Amazon, because there are a lot of suppliers who are getting into the market, especially in the last probably 10 to 12 months. We've seen an influx of supplier sellers on Amazon, and they're coming outside of US. They're not necessarily local sellers. Now, Amazon's opened the gates, and there are a lot of more people entering this global e-commerce selling. So they're not just focused on selling it in their own marketplace. They're looking at
Yeah.
selling outside as well. It's the same conventional export import business made a lot more easier with the Amazon platform opening up for global sellers as well. So we've seen a humongous increase in sellers. There's an influx of sellers coming onto the Amazon platform, and it's just getting extremely challenging there with the traditional sellers. We've got to keep changing, adapting our strategies and adapting to the situation there, and making the right changes in the PPC campaigns as well. You can't just sit and say, okay, this has been working for the last 6 to 8 years. I don't think I should be changing my strategy now. That's definitely a recipe in the wrong side, right? In the wrong direction. So we've, in fact, just recently I was talking to one of the customers. She's based out of California, and she had the same concern. For 8 years she's been selling consistently. There's been a consistent year-on-year growth. In the last 6 months, there's been a vertical drop in sales, which is quite different from the normal trend that we've seen during the pandemic, where there's been an increase in sales. So we should always be very careful. We should keep looking at those indicators, those metrics that will definitely give us a direction, sense of where the market is heading, and capitalize on that. Amazon advertising definitely is the way to go, because no matter what happens, if we bid correctly, if we have the right kind of campaigns running, kind of keywords targeted, we'll definitely be on top of the game over there.
Yeah, so now that we're talking about Amazon advertising, how many of you guys watching right now actually use Amazon posts? So I've noticed that a lot of sellers are not taking up Amazon posts, and it's such a great opportunity. Like I have seen a lot of sellers get their conversions like high using posts, and it's free advertising, and you can be on your competitors' listing for free, guys. So like Amazon posts is something that you should definitely look into. And there's one more thing. So there are talks of Amazon releasing four more types of advertising. Have any of you guys heard about it? So yes, they're working on like four more types of advertisement that we will see in the future soon. So I'm looking forward to that. You heard it first here on SellerApp's Live. So yeah, I think that
Absolutely.
it's going to be something. Yes, go Nathan.
So just to chime in, so the posts, internally we've been having this talk. It's probably going to be the next Instagram of sorts for advertising on Amazon, right? I'm sure they'll be having sponsored posts even in the posts. That's probably be one of the types of advertising, because who would want to lose out an opportunity to be there right on top?
Yeah, so again, if you guys haven't already checked Amazon Post, do look into it. It's you have to be brand registered for it, and it's only available in the US right now, so that's a drawback. But I'm sure they will extend it once they get out of the beta mode. All right, so for our next question, hi, beginner seller here. Can you guys tell me how to optimize my Amazon listing? That's a whole, like another video, another live. But what are the five tips that you can give me? Let's start with Emma and Nithin.
Okay, so yeah, this is a huge topic. First and foremost, you have to have a really clear keyword strategy. So when I say clear keyword strategy, I don't just mean using a tool to get the top list of most searched keywords and call it a day. You want to be really analytical with the words that you find to make sure that they are relevant to the product that you're selling, that they make sense for the strategy that you're going to take with your marketing and PPC, and that they're also going to fit naturally into the listing. Because if you have a really great word that you can't find a way to make sense within the writing that's going to be customer facing, then that's not necessarily going to help you achieve the results that you need to achieve, because all of this is needing to do two things simultaneously. You need to both satisfy Amazon and make sure that you're indexing properly and setting yourself up to rank well. But in order to do that, you also need to be optimizing your opportunity to really convert your customers. So making sure that you're providing the information that they need to know in order to make an informed purchasing decision. So once you have your list of keywords, you want to really be thinking about your product and about the customers that are purchasing your product and the situation that they're in that would drive them to want to look for a product like yours, and think about what are those key pieces of information that somebody needs to know about your product. So what is the problem that your product is solving, but also what are those things that they need to find quickly in order to know that your product is close enough to what they are looking for that they're going to be able to invest a little bit more time and effort into looking at your listing in more depth. Because, for example, if you're selling a product that is an electronic component that somebody would be using with their computer and they have an Apple computer, then the fact that they would need to know that your product is compatible with Apple products before they're going to start to dive in any deeper. So being clear about what are those key criteria that people have, and then making sure that you're making it very easy for people to find that so that they can then say, okay, this checks those boxes. Let's learn a little bit more about this and see, why this is a product that I should be purchasing.
Yep, and I have seen a lot of sellers make this mistake. Like when you're optimizing your listing, you need to understand that it's 50% of the algorithm and 50% for your consumers and buyers. So like don't use keywords or vocabulary that like goes on top of the seller's head. Like they don't even know what they're looking at when they mention your product, you know? So make sure that you're very aware of what you're putting in. Yeah, because
And
I've seen a
with
lot of, yeah, go ahead.
oh, go no,
Uh-huh.
please, sorry.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to tell, like, I had an experience where my friend was trying to like ask me to buy her something, and I had no idea what she meant. And then, when I looked it up, it was like some beauty tool that people use to curl their hair, and I'm just like, well, why is it so complicated? Why can't you just call it a hair curler? Why is this such a fancy word? So they could have used that in their back end, or they could have used that, to improve their listings. So it was just so disappointing. So vocabulary,
Yeah, and I would
please.
say that on the one hand, you don't want to speak over people's heads, but you also want to make sure that if you're selling a very professional level product or something
Yep.
that does have specific technical details that would be important to the customer, you also don't want to you don't want to speak in a
Yeah.
way that would make you seem less professional. Because let's say that this hair product, it's using a term that any hairstylist would know, and it's really more of a professional tool that the average consumer wouldn't be purchasing. So if they're seeing it as hair curler, then they might say, okay, well, that's not this specific thing that I need for my clients, and they might go elsewhere. So again, it goes back to really understanding who your customer is and what type of language and what information they need to know and what they'll be responding to positively.
Yep. And I think the best way to do that is to ask the consumers how they would search for the product, right? So if I have a product launching, I would go to my family members and friends and ask them what they would be looking for in a product and how would they search or look for this product. And then you can find keywords accordingly, I think. What do you think, Nithin? Do you think this is a good strategy?
Yeah, absolutely. I think Emma has definitely covered most of everything, to be honest, right? She is the listing expert over here amongst us, right? Yeah, but just to add on to it, I think we also have to keep in mind the relevancy of the product. I think, like Emma just mentioned, I think that goes a long way in organically ranking, because Amazon does not just look at the keywords that is in the product, right? It kind of correlates the relevancy to the product itself. And honestly, even I have no idea how they do that. It's some complex algorithms, some complex IT part of it. I have no idea, but we for sure know, especially when we run the PPC campaigns, we clearly see that random keywords that have no relevancy to the product don't get any impressions, irrespective of how much you bid for that particular keyword. So that kind of clearly shows that there is a mechanism within Amazon that correlates the keyword and the product and then creates a relevancy around that. So it's important to understand what kind of keywords we would like to be adding into the product, into the listing. And we should also, I think, the other important part, of course, is to understand what kind of an audience you want to reach out to, because you have different. Again,
Mm-hmm.
I purely talk from a PPC standpoint of view, right? And we usually see these trends that keep changing over a period of time. It could be just regular trends, the holiday season trends, or just the way people search. A couple of years back, people wouldn't have known what a meme was or what YOLO was. I had difficulty
Yeah.
understanding that you only live once. You could just call it you only live once, but then no, you have to call it YOLO. And if there's a product that's selling on Amazon, you need to adapt to that and really get those keywords incorporated if it makes sense to your product. Otherwise, it doesn't. You can't really be on top of the game, right?
Yeah. I mean, that took me back to my school days, where I think I was the least cool kid in my class. And then people would be like, oh, YOLO, or like whatever they were using. And then I used to be like so confused. I was like, what? So yeah, that brought me back. Meghla, so I have a question here. I was just thinking about your sourcing answer and how you explain sourcing. So, what countries do you think are best when we're looking at private label products? So, if I'm starting my own business and if I'm looking into private label, which I might be, if anyone wants to partner up from here, business opportunity. So, yes, so if I'm starting my own private label product, a line, which countries do I, start with for
Well, it
sourcing?
really depends on the product that you're looking for. So, but definitely China is, the main production hub for the whole world. And then India is a close competitor for lots of product categories, and lots of new categories are actually being starting to be manufactured in India. And then there are other countries as well. For example, Bangladesh is really good for apparel, and a lot of bigger brands actually are sourcing their apparel and garments from Bangladesh.
Nike.
Yeah, lots of other garments also. And then, yeah, Vietnam is another emerging country for sure. But I see a lot of the larger brands going to Vietnam instead of smaller Amazon sellers because a lot of the factories in Vietnam are really large scale factories and they prefer larger orders. And so their MOQs are also like one container, they don't talk less than one container. So yeah, Vietnam I'm seeing emerging really fast, but mostly for bigger buyers. So I don't think Amazon sellers, should Vietnam should be their first or first option. But yeah, there once Amazon sellers start scaling, I think Vietnam can be a good option. And then there are other countries like Indonesia. And a lot of people are also sourcing from the US nowadays or, Australia. And there are certain product categories that are really good there. For example, skincare products are coming from Australia. There's a lot of food items. Also, Korea. So there are a lot of cosmetics and skincare items coming
Yeah.
out of Korea. So, yeah, Mexico is another country that we should look out for. There's production happening there too. Again, apparel and garments a lot. So, yeah, but I would say, most people would go to China first. I mean, because China is such a developed, it has really developed supply chains and produces probably almost anything and everything.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so that's really interesting to look into actually, because I've seen a lot of products on Amazon which are like, based in China, or we have in-house as well. So it's like a perfect balance. So it depends on you if, in-house or in country is cheaper for you, do that. Otherwise, sourcing is definitely the better option for you. All right. So we have Alina here. Hi, Alina. So she sells leather products online, and she wants to understand if she can do affiliate marketing. So, Nathan, do you want to take this question?
Yeah, so that's an interesting. That's kind of very specific, right? So. Uh, any marketing will definitely help on Amazon because end of the day it all falls down to two things, right? One is your discoverability and one is the desirability. So as long as the listing is really taken care of and it's well optimized with the right set of keywords, we definitely need to push for all kinds of marketing uh, aspects because we see. I'll just give you a quick example, right? So everybody knows about Amazon advertising. There was this one B2B customer who's been selling for quite some time now on Amazon, and this was back in March, April this year. One fine day, one fine week, we saw a vertical increase in the revenue, and we were all kind of obviously glad because we were managing the PPC campaign. He was one of our AMS customers, where we managed the entire PPC campaigns for them, and we were happy. But to be honest, we didn't know what triggered that, because we've been showing consistent results month on month, but a vertical increase in revenue was quite surprising one for us. And we had to drill down a little. We immediately got on a call with the client. And what we noticed was that supposedly there was this influencer on TikTok of all the places who purchased the product and made a video of the product. Sales skyrocketed, and believe me, it tripled, quadrupled in 1 week. And even till this day, the momentum has just been continuing. So he's been making month on month. Every month has been, it's like every month we send an email telling them, what, you would hit your record sales. And it's kind of becoming boring now, but it's good, exciting, boring, right? Every month you're hitting your historic sales. Uh, that just goes on to say, and I don't know if I could say it on YouTube. I just hope it doesn't get viral because, you know, he said everything that is wrong in the world is there in TikTok, but that's what is getting me business, right? That's the exact words he used. And we were like, absolutely. And until then, we did not know, there was no direct correlation of how impactful outside marketing would have, or how what the impact is of marketing outside of Amazon. So definitely, any kind of marketing is definitely going to boost sales, not just through advertising, but it also helps to build the relevancy between the keywords and the product, right? So Amazon will start,
Yep.
algorithms start understanding it, looking at, okay, this people searching for this keyword, people searching for these products, and they're buying this product. So obviously it builds up that relevancy, and you organically scale up, your organic ranking improves. It's all going in the right direction.
So, Nitin,
Yeah.
does SellerApp help us discover such products with vertical increases?
Yeah,
Wouldn't we
actually,
all
yes,
like those
yeah.
kinds of products?
Yeah, I think that's the entire idea, right? So even this talk that we're having, I think end of the day, SellerApp is not just looking at making business, making money for customers, right? We're trying to create this entire ecosystem of sorts with multiple consultants, multiple leaders in in this domain. So if we're having people like Emma, people like yourself, Meghla, to help and have its conversation, it's to create this kind of relationship and to kind of have this entire ecosystem built in. So any kind of supplier, we know we can at least, if we can't do it ourselves, we would definitely know the right people to kind of direct them and help them out. So if there's someone coming to us for some sourcing in at least in the Southeast Asian market, we know Meghla as the person to approach. We have some kind of a listing suggestion that we need to be done. Emma is the person. So I think that's the end goal anyway, is to have this entire one place solution. Where maybe we don't do everything, but then we have the right connects to help the customer. In this case, the sellers.
Yeah, so it was really interesting to talk about influencers for your business, right? So either it's on TikTok, which we don't have TikTok anymore, by the way. They banned it in India. So I lost my midnight entertainment. I don't know where to buy my products from, and yeah, it's been pretty sad. So oh please, it might happen in the States as well, Emma. You can stop snickering. Well, anyway, we're talking about influencers for your business right now, and I had a very interesting conversation with Paul Barron recently, and he told me that nano influencers is the way to go. So now that you deal with marketing, Emma, what do you think is better for your business? Do you get influencers, or do you just, sustain with PPC, which is given by Amazon?
So that starts to get a little bit out of my field of expertise, but I think there are some important things to consider with any type of external marketing like that. First of all, you need to make sure that you're prepared to handle a huge increase in volume if one of those influencers is agreeable and promotes your product. It creates a whole different set of problems. Maybe before it was actually converting enough customers, and now it's making sure that you're able to maintain your inventory and not running into situations where you're out of stock for long periods of time. So you definitely want to be thinking about that. But you also want to make sure that anything that you're investing money in to generate traffic, that you're making sure that you are also set up to be able to convert that traffic. Otherwise, you're just throwing money away. So if you're creating this really elaborate and costly campaign and your imagery is really low quality and your listing doesn't look that great, then you may still experience an increase in purchases, but not nearly what you could if you make sure that all of that's really dialed in beforehand, so you're set up to capture as much of that traffic as possible.
Yep, and I think when you're going out with influencers, first you need to understand that your cost is going to increase. So keep that in mind because no influencer works for free. So you can either pay them in your products or you can pay them in cash, money. So yes, and I think having influencers for your business do help with your lifestyle photography as well. So I think getting an influencer that does your advertising, does your marketing, helps your marketing, and also gives you like complimentary lifestyle photography, I think that's a good deal. So do check out if you need any influencers for your business. All right, so I think we're coming to the end of this live. I hope you all had a good time. Do let us know if you want us to do more lives like this. And do check out all these beautiful people. Marketing by Emma and Indian Sourcing Show by Meghla. And do, of course, SellerApp for all your SellerApp needs, all your Amazon needs. Scale your journey with us. Let us be your number one growth partner and whatnot. So do check out our free tools as well. All right, so happy Halloween, everyone. I hope all of you have a good time. And I just want to give all of my speakers here a couple of seconds to talk about their business. So starting with Emma, you can start.
Sure. So I'm the co-founder of Marketing by Emma, and we help online businesses create copy that's really going to connect with and convert their dream customers. So Amazon listings, website copy, even packaging text, any of those core texts that you need to make sure that your product is communicated clearly and that it's going to be communicated in a way that's going to make people excited to buy from you.
All right, Meghla, your turn.
Yeah, so my background, as you mentioned, is in sourcing. So there are a couple of different things that I do. I organize a sourcing trip for Amazon sellers when there is no COVID and when we can travel. So it's at indiasourcingtrip.com. And I also organize virtual sourcing shows like Priya mentioned previously. So it's Virtual India Sourcing Show. And it's basically done every month where we interview vetted manufacturers from India. They talk about their companies, show their products, and you can contact them directly to source products for your private label brand.
Yep, and she has two very cool people, Margaret and Kevin. I think they're my favorite people ever. They are the coolest. Margaret is wearing a
Yeah.
sari, melted my heart. All right,
Oh my
yes,
gosh,
that was
yes.
beautiful.
That was beautiful,
Yeah,
yes.
and
Just today, like a couple of hours ago, we did a show and she was wearing a sari. We were celebrating Diwali.
wow, yeah. And Nithin, what is SellerApp and what do we do best?
Well, I think you've already given us a good introduction there, right? So, yeah,
That was
so
a
I
quick
think,
advertising.
right. So, SellerApp, I think, like I just mentioned earlier, we create this ecosystem to kind of help every Amazon seller with the complete journey, starting from identifying a product, helping them with the sourcing by connecting them to the right people. So I think you have the platform which gives you multiple tools, helping you with everything. It could be product research, it could be understanding information about your product at a granular level. How's the opportunity score to sell those products? And of course, we have, I think, the best campaign manager kind of a section, which is filled with a lot of insights. Complete graphs, the numbers, the metrics, and the insight section also. I think our guys have done a fantastic job in creating this beautiful algorithm to look at PPC campaigns at a search term level. I think that's the most granular level we need to analyze campaigns from, right? So I think definitely I would definitely suggest people just check it out, connect your seller center, have a look at the platform. I'm sure you'll find a lot of value in that. And of course, if you have any other queries, you could definitely reach out to us, and we will. If it's something that's not, if we don't have the expertise in house, we definitely are creating this entire ecosystem again to help you out with any difficulties in your Amazon journey.
Yep, Meghla Gale is here and he says that he's happy to see you twice a day. All
Hi,
right,
Gail.
so all right, so this was a great live. Thank you all for being here. And if you want us to see you soon, let us know that you want to see us soon. If you enjoyed this live, like this live. And yes, have happy Halloween. Good night, everyone, and good
Thank
day if
you.
you're in the States. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.